Hello, Jonathan from Muzzy Lane here. Today, I am very excited to tell you about the updates we released to Smart Chat this October. We've got a lot of very exciting stuff we just released. I actually think this is one of our most powerful releases, and it's really going to open up a whole new dimension to the types of activities that you can make in Smart Chat. So first, I want to talk about the distinction between objectives and variables. Then I want to talk about rich text improvements, tables and charts, and then conditionals, which is very exciting. And finally, score review mode, which I think you guys are really going to like, should really help simplify the scoring process for new activities. So let's jump right in. I have set up a little activity here. We're going to called Jonathan's Unique Antiques, and our goal for this activity is to make over $1,000. The key is to buy low and sell high. So the first thing you'll notice is that there are now two tabs for objectives and variables. Objectives are where your learning goals or learning objectives should go. Anything that is directly related to the student's performance or more specifically to their grading. So you'll notice here there's no more units objective button. Let's go ahead here and just say, comprehension, right? And you'll see up here your roll-up score, that's the score that gets sent to the LMS, is calculated from a combination of these. And we'll go ahead and promote it so that it shows up at the top of the activity. Now, variables, these are when you're going to have the students earn points that either might have, might be them managing a resource, or it could also be used for steering. So I'm going to create one here that's going to be profits, and then we're going to have one that is expenses, and one that's revenue, okay? I'm also going to create one here, and I'm going to call this customer, or let's say Veronica's Choice, and you'll see how we're going to use that one later. One of our customers is going to you're going to have a choice as to whether you buy something from a customer, and your earlier choices can come back later to shape the activity. So for profits and expenses, I'm going to go ahead and put a $sign to the left. I'm going to give it 2 decimal places, and do the same thing here with expenses. Okay, same thing also with revenue. Veronica walks in, and she wants to sell her lamp. And how much should we offer to this customer? Let's offer her either $20 or $40, right? And so for now, if we look here, variables, we're going to go to expenses, and we're going to say minus $20, right? And if we go here and do expenses, we're going to do minus 20. Now, obviously, I could have this just be 20, but I'm doing minus 20 specifically so that it works with the tables. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create a materials section. So I'm going to go to materials, and this is where I'm going to show you a few new things. The first thing is the way in which rich text boxes are edited is a little bit different, but hopefully if everything goes according to plan, you shouldn't even really notice. You'll notice that this pops up rather than opening up on that window. And so anytime you edit a rich text box, whether it's in materials or feedback, you'll notice that it just sort of pops up. And we did that to improve speed and performance, as well as to improve the experience in feedback. It was sometimes a little confusing as to whether you were looking at the preview or editing it. So let's go back here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a chart. And I'm going to just call this revenue, okay? And here we're going to get rid of this column, and we're just going to have money, and this is going to be profits, expenses, and revenue. And so here I can grab the variable that I want. We also refer to these as tokens sometimes. So I'm going to have this refer to the profits variable. And then I'm going to have expenses pop in here. And revenue is, I could just have revenue pop in there, but what I'm going to actually have is profits minus expenses. So I'm just copying and pasting these in here. Oops. And let's go ahead and have this take up 75% of the width. Okay. Now, having created this table, I'm going to go ahead and create another area here, and on here I'm going to add a chart. We added charts in, I think, 2 updates ago, but we really upped our game by allowing you to adjust the charts. So when you create a chart, you have it look at one of your tables. So if you have multiple tables, there'll be multiple ones in this drop-down. And chart type, we've got line, area, bar, pie, radar, and scatter. I'm going to go ahead and do bar. And here, you know, our range at the moment isn't so accurate because we really want to get to 1,000, and I might need to go back and adjust those numbers in a moment. But I can adjust whether things are labeled. I can also go into each axis, and here's my y-axis. I'm going to go ahead and rather than have it be auto, I'm going to have it be 0 to 1,000. And you know what? Let's change it to 100. I think that's easier. And I can change the interval if I want it to be every 10. There we go. It's labeled as 10. You can also change the color of these different bars and whatnot, as well as adjusting the padding and whatnot. So so that should be good. Let's take a look now at what happens. And actually, why don't we go ahead and just take this out so it's just 20. I think that'll just work out better. So this will be 20 and 40. So let's see what happens as we play through this activity. So here we're going to go ahead and start. There's my antique shop. Veronica walks in. She wants to sell her lamp. And if we go here to materials, you'll see at the moment we've got no profits, no expenses, no revenue. If I do, and you know, at the moment there's nothing on our chart. If I do $20, you'll see, you know, my chart here has updated in expenses, and so has my table, and that should happen immediately. And so you can see, currently I am in the red, as they say, for revenue. So the updates to charts are one thing, but now, you know, in the past, we if you wanted to have it remember whether Veronica left, you know, whether you decided to buy it or not, which we could add another option. You know, you would have had to branch it here, or you know, we say $40 or $20. You know, in that case, you know, if it's $40, maybe in that case, she says, you know, that's not enough. how about 40? And then here, let's do a question. Sorry, let's keep it simple here. So either you sell it for $40 or $20, and let's just add one more response here where it says don't buy it. Okay, and if we do that, nothing changes. Okay, but we will change Veronica's choice to 1. Okay, and we're going to do that so that later on in the activity, it will reference that. This is also, by the way, how you're going to be able to do activities where, if they make 3 choices and, if they make 3 incorrect choices, they fail. You might have a counter here and use a conditional. So remember, our goal here is to earn $100. So we're going to have another question here where Bob comes in, or Stuart, and he says, hey, buy my lamp. Sorry, look, buy my chair. And, chair looks like it's worth, $150. How much do you offer? We're just going to assume that whatever you offer, they will accept. So we'll have $10 or 75. Okay, and if we do that, expenses are now going to be at $10, and they're going to be at 75 here. And then later, of course, we're going to have people come in and they, someone says, I'd like to buy both of the, both the chair and the lamp. For $150, $125, and then we'll just say, do you sell? All right, and then so let's take a look now at how this works. So do you sell? Yes. No. And if we sell it for $125, our profits are going to go up. And no, they are not. So in the past, if we wanted to figure out whether a student was succeeding or not, we might have to play it through multiple times. So, here, if I sell it for low, and here if I buy it for low and I buy it for low here, and I sell it for 125, if we look, I should have set up some feedback there. But, essentially you would play it through and see, okay, if I make this path, this choice and this choice, they succeed. If not, they fail. So let me just do that. Here I'm going to go into feedback, and I'm just going to go revenue. If revenue is over 100, you succeed. And so I just change this range to if revenue is greater than 100 and less than 1,000, doesn't really matter, then you succeed. Okay, we do done there, and we'll have it be if they get less than 100, 0 to 100 there, then rich text, you fail. Done. I don't know why that's not saving. Okay, so now we have the feedback we're going to get one way or the other. Now, in the past, as I was saying, you sort of had to play it through. And the other thing that people were doing was were using the preview from location button to test their scoring. And it actually was not a great way of testing the scoring because, especially if you had a complex activity, you it couldn't actually estimate what the student would have chosen. It couldn't, couldn't figure out what the student chose, and so people were relying on that, and it wasn't such a great thing. So we actually took off in preview location the tracking of scores. So now, if you preview from location, you'll see up at the top or along here, it's giving you not available. And the reason we feel okay turning that off is because we have a new feature, which is score review mode, and that is going to really be helpful in order to track student the different ways a student can play through. So the way you get to score review mode is you go to Navigator and then you go to score review mode. And as you can see here, it is filtering so that you only see the questions, and you only see, and you see very clearly just the scores you want. So I'm not interested. I haven't actually done any comprehension questions, so I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to turn on all of the variables. So I'll turn off objectives, and there are my variables. And over here, I can see the choices, I can see my different scores. So if I had, for instance, a very complex activity, I could say, okay, in branch 1, they earn this much, in branch 2, they earn this much. And the really cool part of this is we can actually walk a path. So if I do buy low, right, if I choose to buy it for 20, and buy it for 10. Here we can see at that moment my expenses are $30. And, then if I sell it, well, overall, my revenue, well, I didn't set up revenue correctly, but I would be able to see revenue change. So actually, why don't we go ahead and fix that. So so what we can do is in variables, I actually set up revenue wrong here because what I wanted to do was, so I'm just going to change this to profits for right now, just for the heck of it. But I'm going to go over here and get rid of this units objective, and I'm actually going to add a aggregate objective, and I'm going to call this one revenue. This revenue here is going to be profit minus expenses. Okay. Now we talked earlier about how objectives could be referenced with those tokens. This is a new way of getting to those because now you can actually get to all of your different cells as well. So if I want to look at profits, I click on this profits here, and I can just press copy. I'm going to do profits minus, and then variables expenses, copy. And so that's what revenue equals. And so now, when I go over here to my success or failure, I'm just going to have this equal the revenue. So now let's go back to the navigator, go to score review mode, and we'll just look at these variables, buy low, sell high. Oh, so look, I actually didn't adjust my numbers well enough to make to make the revenue, even if they make all of the get all of the questions right here. So, as an author, now I want to go back in here and I want to tweak it. So let's make it, do I sell? And if I do sell, it's going to be for $250, okay? So now it's $250, and now we see if they make those choices at $120 revenue, they succeed. I also have this preview feedback button, and so I can see what their end of game feedback would be if they answered the way they answered. So this is really going to help you adjust things so that the assessment is sound. This is really going to be important for activities where you have a clear idea of how grading is going to work. And so I really think this feature is going to help a lot of people. So let's go back to overview now, and I'll change this text, so it's, do you want to sell for $150? And let's have now, let's add another node here, and you'll notice there's a new node, which is conditionals. So a conditional is an if-then statement, and the then is always a branch. So essentially what it has us do is it has us create a question, a statement, and if the statement is true, it branches one way. If the statement is false, it branches another way. So, and actually, before I even get to that, why don't I just put in a text node here to explain it. I'm going to have, oh, actually, never mind. So here's the conditional. This is whether Veronica walks in or not. Okay, so walks back in. So, if if you recall, I had Veronica's choice happen, and I believe I had it where if you don't sell it, we get a point. So if Veronica's choice is less than 1, then we're going to go, it will be true. And so that's she's returns, right? And then false is doesn't matter really what we choose here. And let me just double check that okay. Yeah, so that's right. Good. So now, if she did not, if you did sell it to her, she's not gonna come back. But in which case the activity ends. So here you can see the yes branch. This is if it is true. So if it is true, Veronica walks back in, and we will have another one here, and Veronica says, did you sell my lamp? Or, I'd like to buy my lamp back. It has sentimental value. And otherwise, that's the end of the game. So we can just get rid of this. We can just get rid of this. So, so now, if we want to now, we can really squeeze Veronica and say, we'll do another conditional, and we'll say, if we already sold the lamp, then we can sell it to her. If not, we won't. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new variable and have this guy be buy or not, ? And if I go back to the navigator here, we will insert another conditional, and if buy or not is greater than 0, and you can see here we've got less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, greater than, equal to, less than, and less than or equal to. So if it is greater than 0, go down this other branch. So we'll have it as if we sold, then we have 1. And so down here, if it is greater than 0, then that is true. And so that's sold and didn't. You can see on the right-hand side the names of these branches. So if we sold it, we say, sorry, I already sold it. And over here, we can, if we didn't sell it, we can say, sure thing. That'll be $200. Oops. And why don't we put that'll be $200 as a response here, and we'll have profits at that point go up by $200. So I'm not sure exactly how ethical this whole thing is, but you gotta make money. Possession is 3/4 of the law or whatnot. So now we could now go into score review mode, and we could say, okay, if we buy the lamp for $40 and we buy the chair for 10 and we don't sell it. Now here for conditionals, you see it's actually gone through them, and you'll see because I didn't sell it, this guy down here is available. But if I do sell it, it shouldn't be. So I might have done that a little backwards, perhaps. Perhaps I didn't. Oh, you know what? It's because I deleted this this option here. So I'm just going to choose this option for what happens if it is false, or actually if it is true. So for returns, we'll add a node. Oops. Yeah, we'll just get rid of this for right now. Get rid of these. And in here, let's now add that, and we'll have it be Veronica's choice if it is greater than 0. Then that means that she didn't, and this is if she sold. And I let myself go through this sort of poor paying attention here because and it should really be bought. All right, there we bought it. Okay. End of game. All right, so here we can see because I bought it. Oh, I actually had it correct. I just wasn't paying enough attention. you can see if I bought it, comes back, and if I don't buy it, which doesn't. All right, so let's play through and see how this actually works. So if I buy it for 20 bucks, and if I buy this for 10, but you know what, I won't sell it. Veronica walks back in. She'd like to buy our lamp again, and we still haven't made any profit yet. Now we can, because we didn't sell it, we can now sell it to her for more, and we succeed because we made our money. So, these new features really open up a lot of possibilities. You could have, the actual objective of comprehension sort of depend on, whether they make that money. So you can really set up goals where these different variables change the trajectory or interrelate to one another. And I'm really excited to see what everybody does with these new features. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention, you can also make any equations, whether they are in conditional nodes or aggregate variables or objectives, or in tables, you can actually add JavaScript math. So if you do a search for how to do JavaScript math, any equation you put in to a table, for instance, you could add further math types of math symbols and whatnot in there. So for instance, you can do exponential equations. You can even put random numbers in there. We've already got some really interesting ideas for how people can make their activities more like simulations, and simulate more complex relationships with numbers. So again, don't hesitate. Hope you like the new features, and hope everybody has a great October. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.